Every winter, something strange happens in nature. Entire groups of animals seem to disappear as if the world has paused for them. Deep inside forests and mountains, bears slow their movement until they barely move at all. Bats vanish into dark caves. Ground squirrels hide underground for months without coming out. It looks like sleep, but it is not normal sleep. It is something far more extreme. A full biological slowdown called hibernation. Now imagine this for a moment. What if a human could do the same thing? What if we could simply pause our bodies during difficult seasons, wake up months later, and continue life as if nothing happened? No food worries, no survival stress, no harsh winters to face. It sounds almost like science fiction, but the idea becomes even more interesting when we realize that some animals already live this way. Hibernation is not just a long nap. It is a deeply controlled biological state where the entire body changes its operating mode. The heart rate drops dramatically, sometimes from hundreds of beats per minute down to just a few. Breathing becomes extremely slow and shallow. Body temperature falls close to the environment, sometimes near freezing levels. Even digestion shuts down almost completely. The brain activity also reduces, but not in a harmful way. Everything is balanced in a way that allows the animal to survive for weeks or even months without eating or moving. But here is the important part. The body does not break down during this process. It does not damage itself. It is carefully regulated by evolution to remain stable. When spring arrives, the animal wakes up, regains energy, and continues life almost normally. Now compare this with humans. Humans cannot do this. Not even close. Our bodies are built very differently. The human brain, in particular, is one of the most energy-demanding organs in nature. Even at rest, it requires a constant flow of oxygen and glucose to maintain basic functions like breathing, awareness, memory, and heart regulation. If this energy supply drops too low, the brain quickly becomes unstable. This is the key reason humans cannot hibernate. Our system is not designed to safely reduce energy consumption beyond a certain limit. If the body temperature drops too much, instead of entering a safe, pause state like animals do, the human body begins to shut down in a dangerous way. The heart rhythm becomes irregular, muscles lose coordination, and the brain starts to malfunction. This condition is known as hypothermia, and it is life-threatening rather than protective. So the question naturally arises, why did some animals get this ability, but humans did not? The answer lies in evolution. Animals that hibernate evolved in environments where winter was not just cold, but deadly. Food disappeared completely for long periods. Movement became dangerous. Energy had to be preserved at all costs. Over thousands and millions of years, natural selection favored animals that could slow down their metabolism and survive through this harsh period without needing to eat or stay active. This is why species like bears, bats, and certain rodents developed biological systems that allow them to enter hibernation safely. It is a survival strategy shaped entirely by environment. Early humans, however, faced the same winters but took a completely different path. Instead of relying on internal biological shutdown, humans developed external solutions. We learned how to use fire for warmth. We built shelters to protect ourselves from cold winds and snow. We created clothing from animal hides to maintain body heat. We also learned how to store food, allowing us to survive even when nature was not producing fresh resources. These innovations changed everything. Humans did not need to evolve hibernation because they solved the problem through intelligence and adaptation instead of biology. Over time, survival became less about shutting down and more about staying active, planning, and controlling the environment. As a result, the human body remained in a constantly active state throughout the year. Evolution no longer needed to develop a pause mode for our biology. Instead, it rewarded endurance, thinking ability, communication, and cooperation. These traits eventually led to human civilization. Even today, scientists are fascinated by hibernation. It is not just an interesting natural phenomenon. It may hold clues for future medicine. Researchers study hibernating animals to understand how their bodies protect organs during extreme metabolic slowdown. One of the biggest mysteries is how the brain remains safe during such low energy states without damage. In modern medicine, we already use a very limited version of this idea. During certain surgeries, doctors intentionally lower a patient's body temperature. This slows down metabolism and reduces the brain's oxygen needs, helping protect vital organs while complex operations are performed. This is not true hibernation, but it is a controlled simulation of its effects. Scientists are also exploring whether deeper forms of metabolic slowdown could one day be possible for humans. One of the most interesting applications is space travel. If humans could safely slow down their bodies for long periods, it would make long-distance missions far more practical. Astronauts would require less food, less oxygen, and less psychological endurance during long journeys. However, this is still theoretical and far from being achieved. The biggest challenge is still the brain. Even if the rest of the body could be slowed safely, the brain must return to full function without damage. Long periods of inactivity may affect memory, identity, and cognitive performance. We still do not fully understand how to reverse such a state without risks. Another challenge is recovery. In hibernating animals, waking up is not instant, it is a carefully controlled process. Their bodies gradually return to normal function. Replicating this safely in humans would require precise control over every biological system. So for now, hibernation remains something we can only observe in nature, not experience ourselves. It is one of those biological abilities that reminds us how different species adapt in different ways to survive the same planet. Some animals survive winter by pausing life. Humans survive winter by continuing life. And maybe that difference is what shaped everything we are today. Because while we do not have the ability to hibernate, we have something else entirely: the ability to think, adapt, and change our environment instead of shutting down inside it. So, in a way, we did not lose a survival ability. We just chose a different path. Now, before this video ends, here is a question for you. If humans could safely hibernate for months without any risk, would you actually choose to do it? Or do you think staying awake and living through every moment is more valuable? Tell me your answer in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating science stories like this.